Hello, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver Chronicles. My name is Sarah, and I'm here with my husband, Jeremy.
Hello.
And we want to start out by saying thank you so much for all the positive feedback for our introductory episode and all the shares and support. We're super excited about starting this journey. This is obviously a very new thing for both of us. But we really look forward to sharing our story, and we're hoping that we can give some really good advice and just tips and help some people out along the way. That's our goal here. So today we're going to talk about the time Joey was diagnosed with autism. He was about a little past his first birthday was when we started to notice signs. He still wasn't speaking. We did take him to the doctor shortly after. When we did, they referred us to Birth to 3. We had Birth to 3 coming into our house once a week at that point.
And so they came in about once a week for about 2 to 3 months before we officially got him tested. But they were coming in to work with him because, even if he didn't have autism, he would still need some help with some things. So we were getting help right away. But we knew we had to go through the testing to see what happens, because if he had a diagnosis, we would be transferred to a different agency that could come more often.
Yes. Basically, he had no words by his first birthday. There were no words. He was delayed in all of his physical milestones, walking, crawling, but especially the speech delay was the most significant. He was walking at that point, but we had noticed around Christmas time, he had started tiptoe walking. That was another sign for us. Now, another thing I want to say, I know every family, every child, and every situation is different. So if your child does have some kind of delay, there's a chance it could be nothing, but you definitely want to discuss it with your child's doctor. The best thing we did was get Birth to 3 in there when the language delay became very obvious to us. That was probably the greatest thing we could have done for him. So we had Birth to 3 with us. I want to say they came maybe 3 sessions before they handed us this list. It's characteristics that differentiate autism from other developmental language delays / disorders.
So first off, they talk about eye contact and eye gaze. It says that a lot of kids on the spectrum have difficulty paying attention to faces and following your point. After 12 months is when they really should be doing that, but you notice delays in them actually doing that when they're on the spectrum.
Orienting to the child's name, inconsistent responding to their own name most of the time by 12 months. So usually if you call your child's name, if your daughter's name is Becky, let's say, "Hey Becky," and she does not respond to you and she has no language, that might be worth looking into.
Pointing to or showing objects of interest. The child does not point or show objects of interest to others by 15 months. This was a big one for Joey specifically. I mean, we're 5 years in and he still rarely does this. We know he likes things, but he doesn't go about it on his own. So that one was a big clue once we had this list and understood more about it.
Yes, in orienting to the name, again, is another one that that's still 50% of the time for him. Eye contact, he actually does pretty good with eye contact. But back then there was less eye contact than there's been. We have to thank ABA for that. That's helped a lot. The fourth thing on the list is pretend play. Does not demonstrate how familiar objects are used by 15 months and does not show pretending in play, such as feeding a baby doll or using an object to represent another object by 24 months. And I'm not sure that one was the one that really applied to him. When we did get this list, we realized that 6 out of 7 things on it describe Joey. So that was just a big indicator for us that something was definitely off with our child and we needed to do further appointments.
Imitation. Does not watch other people to copy their actions and body movements such as waving. Does not imitate sounds and words by 16 to 18 months. I mean, we're 5 years in, he still doesn't talk. He did pick up some words at one point, but he lost them during a regression. And he doesn't...
Which we'll talk more about later.
But he doesn't really copy actions too much. I mean, he's better now than he was when we first started getting help. He can wave, but he doesn't do it often as an imitation, just so much as he feels like doing it.
And I did teach him how to stick out his tongue. I know that sounds pointless, but it's actually good oral motor. And it's kind of cute when he does it and funny. So actually he did that today in therapy. He did stick out his tongue at the therapist today and we were giggling about it.
Well, I know he can roll his tongue, which is something I can't do. So, he's got one up on me there.
Yeah, he's definitely cute when he does that. Nonverbal communication. Does not understand and use a variety of gestures by 16 months. Displays flat affect or limited facial expressions or body language. In Joey, actually, I want to say that one was a little bit with Joey. He is more expressive now than he was back then. He wasn't an overly emotional little baby. He was pretty calm. Honestly, sometimes we felt like he was a little too calm. And then the last one, number 7, is language development. Exhibits delays and differences in both language comprehension and expression as compared to the same age pairs. May talk but not communicate with others. Expressive skills may be at a higher developmental level than receptive skills in autism.
Now that one doesn't really apply to Joey too much because he can't speak, he's delayed. So, he's not talking but not communicating with others because he's not talking. That one actually more applies to our older son, who will cover him when we get to his autism diagnosis.
But yeah, Joey's still nonverbal. He's 5 and he's still nonverbal. But before I really get into that, I want to just tell you, if your child has things on this list, whether it be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 things, please get them to the doctor to have them evaluated. It's super important that you get birth to 3 in there. I can't stress the help that we've got from them.
We got so many people to come in to provide therapies in home for Joey with speech, with ABA. They came in immediately, jumped in and started helping him, and he picked up some of the things he was missing. Still a long road to go with him. It's going to be a long life, but he is getting so much better just having the help that from the therapies.
When we started with Birth to 3, it was more of a program that came in once a week to just focus on communication. However, their speech pathologist came in and met with Joey, and she put that list that I just read to you, and I saved it and put it in front of me and read it to me as I sat there and watched my kid. And I knew 6 out of 7 things on that list applied to Joey. And it hurt. It hurt to know that. And I looked at the list and I showed it to my husband and I read it. And he said the same thing. From there, the next step was to get a hearing test, which he passed with flying colors. He really wasn't interested in the test at all. He was more interested in the pegs. But when they did the inner ear test to check the waves, everything was perfect. So that was our indicator that we really knew, okay, this is more than just he's not hearing. This is more than just a delay. We did have someone come out from Beacon and do an assessment on him. I think they were there for a couple hours assessing.
Yeah, they were there for a couple hours. I remember vividly it was a Tuesday morning. I don't know why I remember vividly that it was a Tuesday morning, but I do remember that they came in and she did about a 90-minute test with him, and then it took about 30 minutes to do the evaluation before giving us
and the data.
And the data before giving us the determination.
That was hard because we knew, even though we knew what they were gonna say, it was a punch in the gut. We both cried. We knew exactly what they were going to say, and we knew people with autism. My husband has relatives in his family that are on the spectrum, so we didn't we felt like, okay, he could be okay. Like this could just be a small hurdle. From what I was thinking that day and as optimistic as I was about it that day, unfortunately, as time has gone on and we've gotten less and less words, I've been less optimistic. However, we're still doing everything we can for him. We still have him in speech. We have him in PT. We have him in OT. Right now, because of the pandemic, ABA was in home. They cannot come to our house. I'm still meeting with them weekly via Zoom, even though Joey wants nothing really to do with the video unless they pause the Zoom meeting and play Color Crew. And even that, he'll only attend for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. From there, we usually just give them an update. And it's been one hell of a ride. I don't really have another way to describe it, but it started with one service. When ABA started with us, they were in our house every day for 2 hours, and then they increased hours, and then they were there for 2 hour-and-a-half sessions 5 days a week. So we had 15 hours of ABA for Joey from the time he turned 2 to
the time he turned 2 until the time he turned 3.
Yes. At 3, everything changed. With Joey at 3 years old, just before ABA left, and I do have a video of this, he was saying school, and he had 20 other words. Actually, I remember his first 2 words that he said were blue and green in that order, and it was the cutest thing. It was a boo, geen. He loves colors. He would respond to this show called Color Crew, and Mickey Mouse, of course, and he loves colors. He still has his color xylophone. He loves that. There was even one day with one of the ABA therapists, he walked around the room and labeled 4 or 5 different things by their color. So we knew he knew the colors. We still know he knows them. He can match them. He can point to colors. He uses an iPad for communication, and he can match them on there.
Occasionally, if you tell him to get something of a certain color, he will pick it up. So we know he definitely knows these things, but he cannot communicate them to us properly.
Yes, after he started school, I think that maybe there was just too much going on in the classroom. ABA wasn't there. There was just a lot of things, and we noticed a regression almost right away. Oh, in addition to ABA, we did have speech therapy coming into our house once a week as well.
That had to stop because speech therapy was given through the school.
Yes, the school actually started him with 30 minutes a week for speech therapy, which I had tried the entire first year. We sent him to school to get him more speech, and it didn't happen. The next year, I tried to increase speech, and that was a battle. And it wasn't until I had reached out to some advocates, kind of said 4 times in one IEP meeting, or that he needs more speech. He needs more speech. I think I said it 4 or 5 times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were there, and I think I looked right at them and I said, no, he needs more speech, when they told me that it was more important to have consultative and all these other things. Finally, we got him that extra speech. So he now gets 1 hour of speech a week in school when he goes back. Again, this year I'm pushing for more, because I know it's going to benefit him. And we do take him to outside speech appointments. He has 2 45-minute sessions a week right now. That's what our insurance will cover. But it's a lot. It's been a very long road with him, and I really think the hardest thing was watching him regress. My advice to parents that are just starting this journey is to not give up. I also really think, and I really think that there needs to be more done almost everywhere. Birth to 3 should really be a birth to 5 situation. A lot of kids go to school and they lose some of the skills that they've gained. And even just talking to the ABA therapist, they've mentioned that other kids will go to preschool and they're back on the case in a matter of months. We did get ABA back within 6 months.
Yes, we actually had to completely change insurances to get ABA after the age of 3. We had to fight and change everything over a 6-month period just to get the ABA back in. we were able to get in 2 of the original ABA therapists that we had, which has actually been one of the best things about when we got them back, is there was some familiarity for Joey, and he responded very well to both of the ones that he'd had before. He was a little iffy with new people, but some new people, and then others he just runs up to and he's ready to work with them.
Yes, and the new ABA therapist that he has coming in, or he's not really new to him, he's been with him for over a year now, but Joey really does respond well to that person. He really does like him. And Joey, the other ABA therapist that he doesn't see as much, she actually took classes, got promoted, and was a BCBA. Joey only gets 1 BCBA, so he has a BCBA and 2 ABA therapists that consistently come in the house. The school does provide a BCBA. He does get special education at school. He does get PT, OT, and speech at school. There's always going to be a battle and a fight to get him more help. He does get a one-on-one in school because he is a flight risk. He will take off. Actually, another thing I really would suggest for parents starting this journey, especially parents of nonverbal children, is to get an angel sense or like a wander guard. We got the angel sense for him, and we just clip it to his shirt every day, and that's been a pretty good thing because he can open doors now. While he can't tell us things, he can open doors. That's scary. He's got the body of a 5-year-old and the mind
of an 18-month-old.
Yeah, of an 18-month-old.
So, I mean, he has tried to get out and get into the driveway. I'm thankful he hasn't gone further than that when he's broken away. It's a scary thing, when he's trying to do these things and you're trying to do everything you have to do. That's why the angel sense has been wonderful, and it's a scary thing because we're re-baby proofing our house. We're doing more baby proofing our house now for a 5-year-old
than we were when he was a baby. Yeah. Yep. We've had to put up gates. We've had to put locks up. We have to keep our doors locked constantly, which we never had to do before. Just a lot of things. He requires 24-hour constant supervision. But we're doing it, and we're not doing this to complain. We're letting you know, especially as a parent, that this is something you may come across. I highly recommend that if you go back to that list, and if your child has any of those symptoms or a couple of them, and they're not talking and they're a year old, please take them to the doctor and have them evaluated. I know that it's scary. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to talk to you and help guide you through some things, because we're going through that journey right now. But that evaluation is key. That evaluation is going to get you the services to help your child. We still, we're still finding yet more services, but we're doing really good in comparison to a lot of people. And I know to do your research if you're able to. There are some states like California and Massachusetts are the best 2 states for people with autism to live, and families and children with autism to live. They have the best services, and most of their services are covered in their states, I believe, based off research. I would highly recommend, if you can, and I know not everybody can, but if you're in that situation, to find a state that has good services. And I know that there are states that completely lack in help. And I know, please don't think I'm telling you to move because you think your child has autism. I know that that's not an option for everybody. That's not an option for us. We live in a state right now that I believe our state is like number 12 or something like that.
I believe 14 when I looked up.
14.
Which is still remarkably good, 14 out of 50, but could be better.
Yeah, exactly. So we understand everybody's situation is different with that too. But again, if you're noticing your child is missing milestones, if you notice that they're delayed, especially in speech, you notice that they don't want to play with other kids, please get them evaluated. It's gonna get them help. The sooner you get them help, the better their outcome will be. There's so much science and research that prove it. We're still holding out hope that Joey will someday speak. Every now and then we get a word out.
The only problem is that we can't get words out consistently. Sometimes we can get a word, but when we ask him to repeat it, he can't do it.
And that's frustrating for him and us. But we have other ways that we use for communication. He was very successful with a picture exchange system called PECS. He was very successful with that early on, which showed us he knew what things were. And he currently uses an iPad. And we do some signing with him. Neither me or my husband really know a lot of sign language. But we learned a few basic signs. We did actually get an American Sign Language book. And God bless us, we haven't learned all the signs yet. There's a lot.
But we'll learn what we can to help him, especially if we can teach him those and he can communicate in that way. We'd love for him to be able to tell us something, no matter how we have to learn it.
Our next episode, we're going to talk about my older son, Remy, who is completely different. So we want to thank you all for joining us, and we can't wait to hear from you. We hope that you reach out to us either via Anchor, Instagram, Facebook, Caregiver Chronicles, Caregiver Chronicles 2 on Instagram, or of course on Anchor. We'd love to have a voice message from you.
Yes, you send us a voice message. We'll add it into the podcast, and if you have some questions, we'll try our best to answer it.
Yes, and we just ask that you don't ask questions regarding medications, because that's an off-limits topic for us. We are not doctors. We're not even going to try to pretend to be, and that is a question for a specific medical professional. But we do want to thank everyone again who's listened, everybody who reached out to us and showed support from the beginning. Who else do we want to thank?
Again, just thank everybody that shared our introductory podcasts through social media, and anyone else who listened to it. Thank you very much. Please, if this helps anyone or someone needs help and you think this will help anyone, please share it with them. We've been through hell over these years, and we're just hoping our experience will help someone else who may be in a similar situation.
Exactly. That's our goal, is to give advice and to just be there for support for people. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully we made you laugh listening to this podcast a little bit today. Hope you have a great day, whatever you're doing. Thank you so much. We look forward to your feedback. See you next week.
Bye.